You're watching HuffPost Live. I'm Alex Berg. After making the rounds on the film festival circuit, the controversial short film Chaser made its online debut today. The film follows Zach, a young gay schoolteacher who seeks solace in the barebacking community. Let's take a look.
Hi. Do you have the password? Just kidding. I'm just kidding. Can I see your invite? Oh. Awesome. I'm Ian.
Zach.
Make yourself at home. Zach, drinks are in the kitchen. Just help yourself.
Thanks.
Oh, hey, no condoms. It's rude. I'm supposed to say that.
I want to talk to you first a little bit about the inspiration. Where did that come from?
Well, Max and I had both sort of separately come to the same idea to make a film about bug chasing or more the barebacking community in general, and we'd made a film together before, and we started thinking about ways to collaborate again. And for me personally, I mean, I had encountered men, boys, young men, basically, who were seeking to have unprotected sex with the objective of being infected with HIV. And so it was something that I was simultaneously intrigued by and a little disturbed by. And we both mutually felt the same way, and we thought this would make an interesting story. And first and foremost, I think we wanted to make a film and use that as a way to understand the motivations behind the behavior.
Right, because barebacking is incredibly controversial within the LGBT community on its own, and it's really difficult to talk about. Do you think that doing something that was fictionalized makes it a little bit easier to address?
Well, sure. I mean, there's a documentary from a few years back called The Gift, and that was, basically one of the first mainstream pieces of media that really exposed that this is a trend in the gay community. And I think, I'm a fictional filmmaker, I'm a storyteller, so I thought it would make a fascinating story. And I know Max felt the same way, and we together wanted to come up with a way for people to see maybe what the motivations were behind one character. We're not telling a story that explains everything. We're just trying to sort of look at a slice of life and see how maybe one character would be led down that path.
I did a lot of research, everything from browsing M4M on Craigslist to browsing on Grindr to watching documentaries and whatever I could find online to rarely, but sometimes speaking to some people who I met who were actively looking, not necessarily to chase or to give, but to engage in bareback sex. Quite a dark period, actually. Really intense, kind of overwhelming. And trying to embody that desire to engage in that sort of reckless behavior and what that reason would be, or what the many reasons behind that would be. It sort of took over my life for a while.
We talked a lot about what would this character do, and I think Max was the one who said, why don't we make him a teacher? Which was interesting to me because I love the film Half Nelson, and he's a teacher, and then you find out that he also is doing heroin on the side. So it's a similar paradox here. In retrospect, I don't know. I think that the classroom scenes are a little too on the nose, but they definitely convey the struggles that are happening within the teacher. And I thought that that's an interesting way to show that he is connecting with these kids in a really beautiful way. And some of the things that the kids are saying they're basically talking about him, and he's not even realizing it. So I found that to be an interesting way to go about it.
Yeah, you used the word juxtaposition. I always think of the word duality. And I thought it was really interesting to take a character and somebody who's around our children every day, somebody who's possibly inspiring our children to be the grown-ups they're going to be in the future, they're going to be society. And he also has this darker side, and it was really important for me to explore the dark and the light. And to my side business is spiritual healing, so I deal with a lot of people who deal with addictions and sex-related addictions and all that stuff. And it was really important for me to portray the character as somebody who had a lot to offer the world and societies beyond his society.
And that was one thing, we didn't want to judge him, and that was one of the things. If you're making a film, the worst thing you can do for your main character is to write a script and judge him. And for us to try to understand the motivations behind barebacking and bug chasing, which are really two different things, but to understand generally that behavior, you can't judge the character. And there's no easy answer in the film. He doesn't go get an AIDS test in the end and learn a lesson. I mean, he's a good person, a smart person, a person within our community. And this is a reality, and this is happening. And what we found, the reason we wanted to make the film is we found that people don't want to talk about it. And there's a lot of resistance to it, whether you think it's good or bad, on whichever side of it you come down on.
Yeah, which we met along the various stages of creating Chaser, including the fundraising, where we asked nonprofit organizations if they would allow us to donate money from our profits from our fundraising efforts. And a lot of organizations were just way too scared to have anything to do with anything that even remotely had to do with barebacking.